Hey guys, it's Cena Critiques, and today I'll be discussing the film The Roses. This is a 2025 movie which is a comedy drama, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, aka the man who cannot say penguins, Olivia Colman, who stars in contemporary classics such as Paddington in Peru and Wicked Little Letters, Andy Samberg, one of my most favoured American actors, and many more talented cast. This movie centres around culinary queen and architect turned stay-at-home dad Ivy and Theo Rose. Their relationship is fast-paced, passion-filled, and highly volatile. And my sympathies consistently switch between the couple until I'm ultimately stripped of any way to rationalise their actions. Ivy is an unapologetic, workaholic, narcissistic, single-minded woman. Theo is a pessimistic, downtrodden, fragile-egoed, overly ambitious man. However, Ivy is also humorous, dedicated, talented, and able to admit her faults at the end. And Theo is a visionary, individualistic, sensitive, and able to communicate his feelings at the finale. Then there are the Rose's friends, which I find quite odd personally. I find that Barry is the most supportive, though he's clearly struggling with his own relationship. Amy is needlessly flirtatious with no consequence. Rory is arrogant and uninteresting. Sally clearly has some pent-up anger behind her vanilla composition. Ivy's employees, Jane and Jeffrey, were the only sufferable characters through this movie. They were very likeable, even though they didn't have all that much screen time and development. Then there's Ivy and Theo's children, who went from sugar fanatics to regimented athletes in mere days. And they both just started winning medals and were flown off to a different school with a scholarship. So we didn't get much time with them or to see how they were affected by the parents' relationship. The only inkling we have is when they're on a video call with their parents and they say that they found out on social media that the parents were getting divorced and they were happy about it. A bit odd, kind of signifies that the relationship wasn't great at all, but they could have maybe spoke out about it, but then again they are children, so. The children congratulating their parents on the divorce really shows how strange their family dynamic is. There's a dinner party scene at the Roses' new house where they invite their friends over, which escalates and becomes increasingly uncomfortable. Theo repeatedly digs at Ivy, unable to be content with her accomplishments. And Ivy wafts weed in Amy's face and then throws cake at everyone. So, yeah, that was the end of that dinner. Kind of wild, like, even if you don't particularly like your friend, like, knowing that they're allergic to something and then wafting it in front of their face, which could cause an allergic reaction, is just okay. Let's just say I wouldn't be coming around to her house again anytime soon, which may have been the point, but I just find it quite odd that aside from Theo and Barry's bond, the friend group doesn't really seem to like each other all that much, and at that point, why be friends? However, Ivy's not the only one instilling allergic reactions. Theo purposely gives Ivy a dessert which has raspberries in it, which she is allergic to, and then takes her EpiPen, it's something like to stop the allergic reaction. And he's like, hey, I'm only gonna, give this to you so that you can continue living if you sign the divorce papers. Okay. I can't lie, I'd be signing those divorce papers and restraining orders real fast at this point. Anyway, after she falsely signs the documents with a name that's not her own, and he gives her the jab, sorry, there's a fly in here, very annoying, she then gets a gun and starts at him, which is a grand idea. Theo begins throwing knives wildly at her. Then there was the whole incident where Ivy sent a deepfake video of Theo confessing that he purposefully made the building collapse that he built to his clients. So that was an interesting career-destroying move if his career wasn't already over. Theo locks Ivy in her room and just starts playing really loud music, so it's basically sound torture, which is a lovely thing for a husband to do. Ivy destroys furniture. Theo closes down her restaurant by putting mushrooms in the customers' dishes, which is probably illegal on a lot of different ways. Anyway, there's a lot of back and forth, but ultimately Theo smashes the top of an oven, which results in a gas leak. And that's when, after peacefully reconciling and deciding to give their relationship one more go, which is a horrible, horrible idea, it ends. White screen, over. And I guess we're supposed to just assume, oh, there was a gas leak, oh, they put on the fire to make it romantic, so, you know, the house is going to burn down with them in. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I kind of see where you're coming from, because they had a really volatile relationship and it really shouldn't have been happening. Definitely they shouldn't have continued it, because what was that? They were literally destroying each other's lives for fun. You know, like, no relationship should be based on hating each other, you know, even if you love each other. Like, if you hate each other more than you love each other, what are you doing? So I understand that ending to a point, but it's also like, you could have had just such a much better ending if you really wanted them to give it another go. Like, despite their hostility towards each other, despite their toxic relationship, like, if you really wanted to give this like a proper ending that was like as wild as the rest of the movie, then I personally would have ended it with the house erupts in flames and Theo and Ivy escape down to the beach, and then they land on the sand and they look at the house burning and they start crying and then start laughing and they hug each other or they kiss. Just something weird like that. The Roses are toxic, destructive, hopeless, and could have resolved their issue far more easily far earlier on. Their ending was highly disappointing, and as I watched this in the cinema, I saw that it left a lot of onlookers visibly confused and irritated, and others purely rendered speechless. I suppose one way or the other their volatile relationship would end up in flames either way, so... However, it just irks me because obviously the kids are now going to be left alone. They have neither parent left and they're abroad alone. They've left their friends, their business partners, and everyone around them is now just left to deal with what they already knew was going to happen. Perhaps you could argue that the ending was open-ended and open to interpretation, but as far as I see it, it's pretty explanatory. And just the cherry on top of the Disastrous movie. The Roses was entertaining, eccentric, and unexpected, but it was also silly, aggravating, and lacking in many aspects. Overall, I think I would rate The Roses a 5.6 out of 10. Very specific, but needs must. Would I watch The Roses again? No. Would I recommend it to anyone? No. Am I glad I watched it? Sort of. Yeah, so, and it had great cast, as I said earlier in this video, so not much to complain about. It is what it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed or were content with at least this review, and I'll be back for another one.